Hello. Welcome to the Neptune in Aries workshop. I am so thrilled to have these transits finally arrive. Obviously, down to Mars. Aries has a big place in my heart, and I am so excited for 2025 and really solidifying in 2026 the transit of Neptune moving into Aries, as well as Saturn following. We'll be talking about the transits of these two planets separately, and then I will also have a workshop to talk about how important it is that they will be conjoining at the 0 degree of Aries, I believe on February 20th of 2026. And so, welcome. I hope you are just as excited as I am because these transits are going to be amazing. They're going to usher in a completely new wave of energetics. We've had so much Piscean energy in the air for so long, and I am so ready to move into this new era. As you can see, the rise of the mystic warrior. I am so thrilled for it to finally be this time. So, without further ado, we'll get started. So, about this class, we are going to be talking about Neptune entering Aries. It is the first time in over 160 years. As we know, Neptune is an outer planet with a much slower orbit. It takes many years for Neptune to transit a sign. And so we're finally here, and I'm so excited. As you can see, it says it is the call to burn away illusion, reclaim divine action, and lead from the inside out. And so I invite you as we move through this presentation to really pay attention to words like action, lead, things that show it's no longer passive, it's now personal, embodied, and boldly initiated. So, we're going to unpack the revolutionary energy of Neptune and Aries, a transit that dissolves outdated identities, shatters performative healing, and births the new archetype of the mystic warrior. This isn't about waiting for signs as much as I love that as much as the next person, me and my friends texting each other at 2:22, at 11:11. Yes, we all love that. But now we get to become the sign. We get to embody all of the work that we have done during Neptune and Pisces. So, a new Neptune. Neptune enters Aries in 2025 for the first time in over 160 years. So the transit occurred at the very end of March, and we will see Neptune move into Aries. It will retrograde back slightly to the last degree of Pisces and then move forward again at the beginning of 2026, where it will conjoin Saturn at the 0 degree point in February of 2026. So get so excited. This is more than a generational transit. We're reclaiming personal power, spiritual autonomy, and the courage to take soul-aligned action. Remember, I said, look out for those words, action. In this masterclass, we'll be exploring how this transit reshapes everything from leadership and identity to collective movements and mystical rebellion. And so we would be remiss not discussing what we're leaving behind, Neptune in Pisces. So the energy of Neptune and Pisces invited us to dream, dissolve, and remember our divinity. It was so nice and flowery, all the plant medicine and the healing and the shadow work and the inner child things. All of that is so lovely. It awakened mass consciousness, spiritual consciousness, amplified intuition, and gave rise to the mysticism, creativity, and compassion. So we loved all of that, right? But it did come with some pretty intense shadows for somebody who is a Virgo rising with a lot of Aries placements. It was a lot. This spiritual bypassing, martyrdom, toxic empathy, escapism, and illusion posing as enlightenment. We swam in the depths of feeling where we often avoided action. There's that word again. But now that era ended, and we're leaving behind the illusion that healing happens in stillness alone. The next chapter is about action, about moving with our vision. So we'll discuss each of the archetypes individually. So Neptune is the mystic, the dreamer, the dissolver. And Neptune had a great time in Pisces. Neptune is associated with Pisces. And so it fit really, really well there. But there are so many shadows that can come with that, the shadows of Pisces, of, like I said, illusion, escapism. It is very counteractive to action, which you can do all the meditating and the dreaming and the architecting, but if there's no embodied action that follows it, what's really good about that then? So the planetary function rules illusion, intuition, dreams, spirituality, unity, consciousness, and divine longing. It dissolves ego boundaries to connect us with something greater, but can lead to confusion, escapism, and denial when distorted. Neptune is very slow moving, approximately 14 years per sign, so it shapes collective consciousness and spiritual climate more than particular personal details. So, we love Neptune. Aries, the archetype, the warrior, the pioneer, the initiator. It is the first sign of the zodiac. And so, something to note that Pisces, from a perspective, since it is the last sign of the zodiac, has no future. That's why it's the unity consciousness, the return to oneness, I call it the lazy river of the universe. There's no forward momentum because, from a perspective, there's nowhere to go after Pisces. You're back to the beginning again. So, in that same line of thought, Aries has nothing but forward momentum. It is the initiator of the zodiac because it is the first sign, and all it has is signs out in front of it, evolution out in front of it. And so, you can see how the transitions over this line create such a dynamic change in the experience. So the sign function, Aries rules identity, action, willpower, courage, impulse, self-assertion, all kinds of things related to the I am principle, how we act from instinct and embody our individuality. So again, we have those words: action, embody. Aries wants to start, lead, and embody selfhood without waiting for approval. There's another one: lead. Lead, another really big word, leadership during this time of Neptune in Aries. You can see when you do the spiritual math that you now have Neptune, this spiritual principle, in Aries, the sign that invokes leadership and initiation within people. When Neptune meets Aries, spiritual passivity to spiritual courage. The formless meets the fire in that urge to dissolve merges with the demand to act. There we go again, act. The transit invites us to reimagine spirituality not as passive or performative, but as something bold, embodied, and deeply personal. It asks, can you hold divine vision and take aligned action? That is the invitation now that all of these energies are moving into Aries from Pisces. We have created our divine vision, and now it's time to take aligned action on that divine vision. We're leaving behind the 14-year era of Neptune and Pisces that brought the mass spiritual awakening, the creative expansion, and the rise of intuition as a cultural value. You can see all tarot decks, astrology, mysticism. People are speaking light language on TikTok. You can see that all of these mystic things have arisen in the collective consciousness, and now we're starting to infiltrate the masses. The woo-woo is becoming very mainstream. But it also enabled a type of avoidance, fantasy, martyrdom, substance escape, or toxic empathy. In Pisces, Neptune taught us to dream. In Aries, Neptune challenges us to do. In this new chapter, where spirit meets fire, We have the invitation to become spiritual initiators, not spiritual spectators. It marks the death of guru culture, the collapse of passive mysticism, and the rise of the mystic warrior, those who anchor the divine through presence, motion, and unshakable personal truth. So, a new Neptune. So, here are some aspects that you will see with the rise of Neptune in Aries. Self initiation. Neptune in Aries marks the end of waiting for external permission to be divine. So, during this time, we have seen so many teachers, mentors, gurus come online. But now, this transit invites you to claim your spiritual authority and not outsource your intuition. You don't need a guru, you need to trust your own fire. And not to say hiring mentorship is no longer going to be a thing. Find mentors. All of the teachers that I invest with, they make it abundantly clear that they walk next to you, shoulder to shoulder, inviting you into your own leadership instead of a hierarchical nature. And so that is what you look for in leadership going forward. The shoulder to shoulder, we rise together. That will be the foundation of leadership and mentorship with Neptune in Aries. Next, I called it identity magic. So in Aries, Neptune dissolves false personas so your soul's truest essence can come forward. Who you are is the ritual. Your presence is the medicine. The transit asks you to embody your mission, not just envision it. And so, another thing that you are going to see with this identity magic pillar is with Neptune and Pisces, you saw the filters and the curated content and the influencers, everything airbrushed and curated, just exact. Neptune in Aries is going to invite you into raw authenticity. It doesn't need all of the bells and whistles and perfect makeup and a perfect filter and a perfect shot with the perfect edits. Raw, unfiltered authenticity is going to be the currency of the online world going forward. Just a note there. Sacred rage as a portal. This is the era of the mystic warrior. Suppressed anger, passive peacekeeping, and spiritual bypassing will not survive here. Neptune in Aries teaches us that anger, when aligned, is sacred, a call to protect what's holy within and around us. Now, of course, that is also an invitation for clarity around these emotions. This is not unhinged for the next 14 years. It is of the utmost importance that you become clear on your action. You become clear on what you're fighting for from a place of groundedness and truth. We are coming out of the age of deception, and a lot of what exists in the mass collective understanding is the product of multi-billion-dollar orchestrations to mislead the mass collective. Again, we're coming out of the age of Pisces, the age of deception. The book of Revelations is not about the apocalypse. Revelations mean to reveal. We are working through the grand reveal right now. And so while things are being revealed, make very, 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 to the utmost very sure that you have done your due diligence on grounding in to a truth that you can move behind, because many people are using sacred rage and moving behind what they consider to be truth, but it's with a lowercase t. It is the product of media manipulation or different, meme they saw on an internet that's not even true. People don't even realize that a lot of the things, especially in the political realm, that they're reposting isn't even factual information. It is all the product of billions and billions and billions of dollars being pumped into the misleading of the collective through internet media. It's quite wild, actually. And so, next, action is the new prayer. Under Neptune and Aries, devotion isn't just about stillness, it's about movement. Meditation becomes momentum, dreaming becomes doing. This transit teaches us that aligned action is a spiritual act, and hesitation is often just unprocessed fear in disguise. You don't need more signs, you need more courage. And so, again, just looking through this presentation and seeing those movement oriented words that have laced themselves throughout: momentum, action, lead, embody. This is the age of doing. So many of the outer planets, Pluto moves into Aquarius, an air sign. Neptune's moving into Aries, a fire sign. Uranus is moving into Gemini, an air sign. Saturn is moving into Aries, a fire sign. We will have Jupiter in Cancer, a water sign, for about a year, but then it'll move into Leo, a fire sign. And so it is a much more extroverted time. It is now time to lead with your most authentic, raw version for your truth to come through. As you can see with the air and the fire energy coming online, these are much more outward moving energies, extroverted energies. We are moving away from the era of stillness and internal work. We have spent so many years working through those energies, and now it is time for expression and doing, and for the collective spiritual community to start taking action and leadership from a grounded, authentic place. So, spiritual leadership redefined. As we enter the age of Aquarius, individual power is being reclaimed as the building block of new systems. So, between Pluto in Aquarius, the sign of individual power, the power back to the people, and Neptune in Aries will shatter illusions of passivity, hierarchy, independency, especially in spiritual and healing spaces. So taking back your personal power and working with guides and leaders to move into your own leadership. Guides and leaders, like I said, that walk shoulder to shoulder. That is the leadership and the guidance of this new cycle. And it demands an entirely new archetype: the mystic warrior, someone who leads with soul, moves with clarity, and acts from inner authority. So, as you can see, leads, moves, acts. That is the key takeaway from this presentation, is that this is a very doing based energy. And so as a projector, it is aligned action. So it's not just about going out and working, 20 hours a day, do, hustle, hustle, hustle. That is not the message here. It is to lead from an authentic, honest place. So the key takeaways: spirituality becomes self-initiated. You are your own oracle. Stop waiting for permission. Sacred rage is a catalyst. Anger, when aligned, becomes a force for clarity and healing. Identity, which is the I am principle, comes from Aries, is a spiritual act. Ego integration, not erasure, is the path to embodied divinity. So that's where we're headed now. Embodied divinity. So we spent so much time with Neptune and Pisces. You had the rise of social media, of influencer culture, and this kind of illusion and delusion that happened in the leadership in spiritual space. But now it's embodied divinity. It's no longer about running into the wilderness and for a mushroom trip, which is great, but it's about integrating these experiences, integrating the ego, and finding aligned action from an authentic place. So, action is the new prayer. Movement, not meditation alone, is the modern devotion. The mystic warrior is rising. Sovereignty, clarity, and courage are the new spiritual standards. Love that. You can retain sovereignty within guidance and mentorship spaces. You can have your own clarity and still seek input from others. And you can have courage to do these things, to step into this next level of yourself, to invest in yourself, to grow and become the mystic warrior, to become the hero of your journey, to live out the myth of your life. And so, working with Neptune and Aries, to begin working with this transit, locate Aries in your natal chart. What house does it occupy? This is the area of life where Neptune will dissolve illusion and activate a deeper call to personal power. Are there any planets in Aries or making aspects to your Neptune? These placements are where you're being asked to initiate a more embodied, soul aligned expression. And as always, I am available for readings in this context. You are welcome to hit me up and hop on my schedule if you would like a reading to determine what house it occupies, how to read your chart in this way, what these new energies coming online are going to mean for you. In my personal chart, not only are the all of the outer planets moving into new signs as they are with the collective, but they are moving into new houses for me as well. I had Pluto move into my fifth house right after its adventure into Aquarius. I have Neptune just adventured into my seventh house. Saturn is following after it. Uranus a few weeks ago went into my ninth house. What a lovely transit that was. And I have Chiron moving houses. It has been an adventurous year for me for sure already. And so I have watched these changes in energy play out in my reality. And so if you would like a roadmap to the changes of energy within the constructs of your own chart, feel free to get in touch. I've included some journal questions. Where am I still waiting for a sign instead of becoming one? What part of me needs to die so that the real me can lead? Where does fear of being too much still cause me to stay small? How do I bring mysticism into motion in my daily life? Those are 4 journal questions you can ponder on and work with to really excavate your personal experience around this transit, where you can act on it yourself. There we go again, act on it. Act, self leadership, embodiment practices. I included a ritual. So, as a ritual, you can anoint your solar plexus, the seed of will with oil or water while speaking your I am declarations aloud. And so you can write a bunch of I am declarations. The I am principle has so much power at this time. So I am abundant. I am wealthy. I am a leader. I am a magician. I am a master creator. Whatever I am is true for you. List out your I am declarations and anoint yourself with them. Let it be simple, raw, and true. This is an invitation to self initiate, not with performance, but with presence. Repeat, I no longer wait. I choose, I move, I lead. I choose, I move, I lead. And your solar plexus is right here, right few inches above your navel. If you pull up a chakra diagram, it is the yellow chakra. So feel free to Google that, check it out, and anoint yourself with your own I am statements and declare over yourself, I no longer wait. I choose, I move, I lead. I choose, I move, I lead. And so, just a little look at the shadow tendencies. Neptune in Aries can distort your power if left unchecked. You may spiritualize impulsiveness or isolate under the guise of sovereignty. Watch for the spiritual ego, performative leadership, and action without clarity. On the flip side, beware of hiding in vision and calling in alignment when what's truly needed is brave, imperfect action. So, we talked about social media and all the editing and the filters and everything. Imperfect action, raw authenticity is really what's going to move the energy forward. And again, not getting caught in impulsive anger, unrooted anger, ungrounded anger, and calling it sacred rage. Ask yourself, am I acting from soul or just reacting from ego masked as empowerment? Neptune and Aries, you were never meant to follow the light. You were meant to ignite it. And so here is your invitation to ignite your own light, to choose, to move, to lead from a place grounded and authentic and raw within yourself. A new wave of spiritual leadership is growing. And if you're here watching this, that probably includes you. So, here is an invitation to use the resources and tools presented in this masterclass, and also just what bubbles up from the wellspring of intuition that exists within you. You have all the power and resources you need. This is just an invitation to move, to lead and embody. You've done the preparation with Neptune and Pisces. You've done the meditations. You've done the shadow work. You've probably done some plant medicine journeys. And so now is the time to fully embody your personal leadership, your spiritual leadership, your message, your purpose. Ignite the light within yourself. The whole world is ready for it. So thank you for tuning in. If you are interested in a reading regarding the transits of this year moving into next year, feel free to get in touch, DM, email, all of the things. Comment, like, subscribe, all the internet fun. And I will see you for Saturn and Aries. And we will further discuss the magnitude of these transits and what we have to look forward to, especially next year with their conjunction at 0° Aries, which is an extremely rare, extremely potent invitation into this next wave of collective consciousness, the human experience. And I am so excited to transit this time with you all. What an exciting time to be here and to be part of this movement and transition of the collective. So thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe so you never miss an update from Down to Mars.